Hey everybody, it's Josie here. I'm going to be doing part 2 of my wrap up for the month of July. So I've read quite a few books this month, and to keep it from getting boring for everybody to watch and really long, I like to split up these wrap ups. Let me know if you want longer ones, but I just thought, you know, the more the merrier, right? So the first book I'm going to talk about in this wrap up is this book over here. It's Run by Kody Keplinger. This book is, I have heard about Kody Keplinger from Duff. Duff is a book that's been turned into a film. But when I was kind of researching the name, I found this one and I thought this sort of looked right up my alley, which it turned out it was. So you've got two characters. You've got Bo and Agnes. So you've got Bo, who is, this is a YA novel. So they're both, I think, 16, 17 years old. And they are in school together. Bo is, she's kind of considered a girl from sort of the wrong side of the tracks. There's lots of rumours about her, sleeping with lots of boys, being very promiscuous, and just kind of being sort of trouble. And then you've got Agnes, who is legally blind. So she is very sheltered and protected by her family. Obviously, has never done anything terrible in her life. She's very much considered the good girl. And these two girls strike up quite an unlikely friendship. And what I love about this book is it kind of goes from what's happening now to what's happening then to what's happening now to what's happening then. You kind of, the reason it's called Run is because in the beginning of the book, so I'm not giving this away, in the beginning of the book, the two girls basically, they don't steal a car, they borrow a car, and they take off together. They run away together. And you kind of get the story moving between them kind of on the road running away, and their relationship there, and then also how they became friends and their relationship leading up to that point. And I really enjoyed this book. Again, it has those themes that I love about these two girls, this kind of complicated, intense friendship, and talking about kind of feeling restricted in your life. I love that being kind of restricted in the pigeonhole that people put you in the box that people put you in. Bo being put in this kind of cast in this vein of this bad girl. Agnes being cast in this vein of helpless, and you know, her parents wanting to protect her all the time and her being frustrated and feeling caged in. It is fantastic. I absolutely enjoyed this. This is one of my new favorite kind of friendship books. So definitely 4.5 stars on this one for me. Yeah, the relationship between the two girls is lovely. If you're looking for a bit of queer content as well, Bo is bisexual. And that is, she tells Agnes this, so that is on the page. It's not hinted at, so that's really nice. But this book is not about a romance, it's about a friendship. And I really loved it. So that was a good one. The next one, talking about queer sapphic content, is Sarah Waters' The Night Watch. So this is a chunker. So this follows the lives of various characters. I think it's 4 different characters in post-war Britain. So this is just after World War II. And it follows their relationship. So you've got a queer couple, so you've got 2 ladies, then you've got one of the brothers who is living with a man as well, but of course his family is living with his uncle or his friend, and the family doesn't want to acknowledge that. So there's a kind of the storyline focuses also on that, about these relationships and about kind of the secrecy that's involved in these relationships. There's some really beautiful scenes with the female-female relationship in here that I really loved. What I did find a bit weird about this book is that it kind of goes backwards. So you start after the war, and then there's a whole chunk of the book, and then the next chunk of the book is you're actually like a couple of years earlier, and then you're some more years earlier. So the narrative kind of runs backwards, which is interesting. It's unique. I'm not entirely sure if I liked it quite so much. I mean, it was still interesting. It's still, yeah, I still like the characters. Viv particularly, there were some really lovely characters and kind of the relationships in it I really liked, but I'm not too sure if I like that kind of backwards narrative, because I think I quite missed it. And then I was like, I don't understand. These 2 characters don't know each other. What is going on? And then I realized that we were going backwards chronologically. So it was a little bit odd. I don't know. I personally, maybe I'm just being really conventional, would have preferred the narrative to run kind of linear. Yeah, I don't know, it just didn't, sometimes it works for me, I don't know, I just didn't feel like it worked that well. But like I said, still the characters, the relationships are beautiful, and quite heartbreaking as well, that era, and having to hide who you are. So it's still like a 3.5-star book, but yeah, I wasn't that excited about that kind of backward narrative that it took. Then the next one, Wandering Wild. You can see this has got some tabs on it, and I don't tab my books up that much anymore, but this book, I really love this book. So it is about a group of wanderers, or if you want to call them gypsies or travelers, in the US. And it focuses on, I'm trying to remember her name, yeah, Tall. It focuses on the main character, Tall, and her brother. And they, her brother's called Wen, and they are part of this group of wanderers. They are living with their mother's best friend in this kind of wandering caravan because their own mother is in jail, and kind of abandoned all contact with them. And they basically move around the country and they do scams, confidence scams, you know, trick people at a pool. They basically earn their living through kind of criminal intent, very much off the grid. And they kind of move into this town for a few weeks, and Tall meets this boy. And he really changes her and her brother's perspective on their lives, or not he so much, but the interaction she has in the town. And she starts to kind of question whether or not she wants to be a wanderer, whether or not this is the life she wants to lead, whether or not, you know, she's suited to this life, or whether she wants a more quote unquote conventional life. And this book is so beautiful. It's so beautifully written. Jessica Taylor, she's written another book called The Map of Wrecked Girls, something along those lines, which I'm definitely going to read now. But this is so beautifully written, and I found there was real emotion coming up for me in this. I think the idea of, you know, freedom and living a life of freedom, and again what that means and what that really entails, and the relationships and the bonds we form, and the kind of the found family element of that as well, as opposed to sort of blood family, and the relationship between Tall and Wen, so beautiful, this brother-sister relationship, and them kind of struggling and getting to grips with who they really are and growing up, and also this kind of glimpse into this wanderer culture is fascinating. It's beautiful. It's just a really gorgeous book. Again, just something that I really, really enjoy, really recommend. So I would just give this 5 stars, just because I loved it so much. 4.5 to 5 stars. I really, really love this. I just think it's a beautiful commentary on kind of finding out who you are, finding yourself, finding the family, finding the people you need, and finding your own strength as well to escape. Yeah, I really love this. Highly recommend. And then the next one I've got here is Swimming Home by Deborah Levy. Deborah Levy, I read one of her other books called Hot Milk, which I really liked. And then Swimming Home focuses on, you've got a family that's hired, family and 2 family friends that have hired a villa is it France? I think it's France. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember. Anyway, they hired a villa, and they get there, and as they get to the villa, they look at the pool, and there's this girl floating in the pool, and they actually don't know whether she's dead or alive in the beginning, but it turns out that she's alive, and her name is Kitty, and Kitty is sort of a botanist. She's quite wild, quite sort of mysterious. She's also a huge fan of the husband of this family, the father, who is a poet. She's sort of, she wants to be a poet, and she's really kind of obsessed with him. And at first, and the husband actually thinks that the wife is going to be like, you know, get out, why are you here? She says that there was a mistake with the booking, and she had also booked the villa. Well, she thought she'd booked the villa, and then she turned up, and it turned out she hadn't. But the wife was a bit like, stay, it's fine. And then you kind of get this story of how Kitty interacts with these different people. yeah, whether, you know, is she lying, is she telling the truth, who is she really? There's a relationship with the teenage daughter, you know, how they relate to each other, how obviously the husband and Kitty then relate to each other. It's interesting. Is it my favorite? I have to say the premise to me probably sounded a lot better than the final execution. Is it my favorite book that I've read? No. Did I hate it? No. Did I love it? No. So, I mean, it was one of those things where I would say it's a 3.5 star book for me, because I don't really, it didn't, oh my God, this is incredible. It really, it gripped me. But and then on the other hand, it did grip me in the way that I did want to continue and find out what happened. So I'm kind of a little bit in two minds about this. Like I said, I would give it a 3.5 star because I think it was better than a 3-star book. Not entirely sure if it was a 4-star book for me. It was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize, as you can see on there. That's a terrible cover, by the way. But I still prefer Hot Milk, if I'm honest. Not bad, but the premise to me was sounded a lot better than, I guess, the final execution. It's quite a good holiday read because it is sort of set in the sunshine and it's all around being really hot and really warm, and they're always in the sea and the pool, and they're always really hot in this book. So it's a great, and it's not that long, so it's cool to read as a holiday read, but it's not my favorite book that I read this month. So that is part 2 of my wrap up. I'm going to stop now because I've got more books, but I think I'm just going to film that in a part 3 and then also do a wrap up for a reading rush at the end of the month. So yeah, so that was me. Let me know if you've read any of those books. Let me know what you think of them as always, and any recommendations based on those. And I will speak to you all again very soon. Bye-bye.